Hello there, ICS3U folks. This note is going to be on 1_8 conditional statements, and I'm logged on to my Edmodo account, and I'm going to go grab it, the note, because it's posted there somewhere, I hope. Let's see, folders, down here somewhere, a bunch of notes we've already taken, a bunch of notes, there it is. It's an RTF file, so we're going to download this file. You could put it straight into your on your hard drive, your home directory rather, if that's where you want to put it. I'm just going to put it on the desktop for now in a temp folder, and then I'm going to upload it to my Google Drive, or my OneDrive is the one I like using because I'm a Microsoft disciple, I guess. But what I'm going to do for a change, for fun, is use, I'm going to open this RTF, which rich text can be opened in almost any word processing document. I'm going to use OpenOffice this time, just for funsies. And you see there's the note. It's the skeleton note, conditional statements, which is if. This is where our program will start making decisions, which is pretty important in computer science. Today's date, you put today's date in there. A conditional statement or selection statement, this will be called selection exercises. So decisions, they select which commands they're going to run. Refers to a decision-making process that executes code based on a tested condition. This thing here is actually supposed to be beside, but on the rich text format it didn't really work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually insert, I selected that, and I'm going to insert, you could insert a text box in WordPerfect, or I am going to insert a frame. And this might get a little bit goofy because it's really, really thin to begin with, but I'm going to make it so it's small enough so this looks okay. And I could change the way this looks. Maybe I want this font a little bit smaller, but now I can drag this off to the side so it's kind of out of the way of our note. It says the condition is evaluated as either true or false, and this could be a compound condition more later. What are we talking about this condition? Well, there are lots of decision structures that we'll actually take in the next couple of days. The first one is simply the if structure. So the if structure, it's if condition, and this is a new type of Java statement. It actually doesn't need a semicolon, but what it does is it has a start and end brackets. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to change the font on this to make it look like ready, by the way. So this is in, I'm going to make that Courier New, so that kind of looks like ready, where if this is true, if condition is true, whatever this condition might be, and we'll see examples soon, these statements will be executed if condition is true. It is true. 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 Good typing there, Estelle. And notice that I've indented so I can see where my if structure starts and ends. These statements could be anything. These could be, drawing or random numbers or all the other stuff that we've done. But notice no semicolon at the end of this. This is kind of, these curly brackets take the place of the semicolon. Dandy. Now, this one will be executed only if this is true, but often what we want to do is to execute something if it's true, but if it's not, do something else. So if condition, these statements will be executed, and then we have else. And notice how I'm doing this. Whenever I type else, I'm typing the start and end braces And then I'm going to fill it with my statements after. And this is a syntax thing, just so I can make sure that I don't goof this up and forget a bracket, because we don't want to crash ready. We're doing that often enough anyway. Um, these other statements will be executed. Um, so, for example, and I'm going to go back to ready and get some code going. You can do this as well. Otherwise, you can just listen to me, and I don't care which. What else do I got going here? There's ready, along with the scratch cat. That's grade 10 stuff. So I'm going to go File, um, New HSA Console, and I'm just going to call this Selection Note. And you won't need to save this, but the idea here is we go, maybe I want to do a random number here. If roll, the integer is a roll, and I'm going to assign that to random int, between 1 and, say, 1 and 6, plus oh no, I need to do this differently, right? We just learned about the random numbers, and Restall's already forgotten. And remember, this is the random generator. I have to import that, remember. I have to use an import statement if I want to use this random number generator. So I'm going to have java.util.random, so I can import that. And here, and quote, I want to say if roll equals 7, start and end braces, I'm just going to print out craps you lose. This is based on a dice game. Notice the statements inside the braces actually have to have a semicolon, but the if statement doesn't. So now if I run this, I might have an error or two. Oh, I almost forgot. This goes from 0 to 5. So I actually need to add one here for my first die and add one here for my second die, don't I? All right, Andy. No errors, no errors, no errors. Nothing happened. Well, why not? Well, probably the roll wasn't 7, and we could keep rolling. But what might be nice, just to check our code, is to print out the roll before we get into this, so we can see what it was. And then the roll. So I'm gonna stop that. I should save in case I crash it. And I'm gonna put this back in my temp folder and upload to my OneDrive later. Selection note.java, and I'm going to run that. Okay, the roll was 5. It didn't print out craps you lose. So if I wanted to put in the else statement then, and notice these are keywords, they turn black just like the int did, right? And I put my end, start and end things in there, braces, c.println, and even though we don't know how to make it roll again, rules of craps are, there's a certain types of rolls that you win or lose, or you have to roll again. And I'm making this up. I actually don't know the rule of craps. You can look it up to make it accurate if you want. The roll was 8, pass, roll again. So it actually printed out that statement. Makes sense. Eventually, if I keep rolling, I'm going to get a 7, and it'll say, craps, you lose. No, I'm not worried about that. So if and else. Back to the note. Back to the note. What else do we have? The nested if-else structure. Well, what does that mean? Well, maybe we want to make our decision more complicated. So I'm going to copy this and put it in the next part. This idea of nesting structures. nesting structure. So this idea, if blah, else, and then I can put another, inside this block, I could put another if statement. If, condition 2. And this is some sort of comparison, some sort of condition. And I could have another if else if I wanted to. Blah, these things would happen. Else, blah, these things could happen. And notice it's called nesting because this if structure is inside this other if structure. And this if structure could be in the else or it could be in the if, however you would like to work it. So for instance, back in our program, I might have here else if roll equals 12. That's boxcars, by the way, called boxcars. 2 6s is called boxcars. We might say you win, maybe. I don't know if you do. I can't remember. C dot print line, you win. And by the way, when you're testing this code and it's random numbers, it takes quite a while for these things to actually happen, right? So to test your code, sometimes what you do is instead of producing random numbers, you force roll to be 12 just so you can see whether your code actually worked. I'll show you what I mean here. So I'm going to stop and run that. So pass roll again. So that was roll equal to 7? No. Else, was it roll equal to 12? No. So now it got to there. But if I wanted to just see if that if worked, I could comment out the random generation, set roll equal to 12. Notice the difference here, by the way. 1 equal sign is assignment, 2 equal signs is comparison. We'll talk about the conditions later. Stop, run. Uh-oh, now what? What happened? Oh, I declared roll and evaluate it in the same spot. So I need to actually include that again. So it'll actually be declared. So the roll was 12 and it says you won, right? Well, the roll wasn't 12. I set it to be 12 to see if that code would work. And now that I've tested that code, I can comment that out, get my original one back. Notice that I'd have to get this out. And all is good again. Back to the note. This feels like it's getting long. I want to see. Yeah, 13 minutes. I'm going to pick it up in part 2. Part 2 will be short. I almost promise.